Welcome to the Our Team Podcast, powered by eXp Realty. Are you an agent looking to level up? Are you someone looking to buy or sell real estate? Fantastic. This is the show for you.
Hey guys, thank you for joining us on the Our Team Podcast. I'm Brian Our.
You want me to introduce myself?
Of course.
I'm Randy Cameron.
I'm not going to do all the heavy lifting here.
Oh, man, I'm waiting for a grand introduction here.
I'm glad to have Randy with me. I love Randy. Such a cool dude.
Yep. We got to hang out a little bit.
eXpCon, that was such a fun time. I ask agents all the time. I'm starting to learn to ask this question more and more. Is this, are you having fun? Are you having fun doing what you're doing?
Right.
Because we have a lot of fun, not only on the team, but just everyone at our brokerage has so much fun.
Yeah.
I really enjoy that.
We do. It's a good group.
You definitely want Randy in your corner. I mean, if someone's picking on you, and Randy,
Let's not get too far down that road on that one.
Randy,
I had your back that night.
you did. Randy will definitely take care of business if someone's mistreating you.
Oh, man.
Yep.
Never got that far.
I think it would be really fun for us to talk about some of our takeaways. There's so much. It was I kind of hate this as an overused analogy, but it's so true. Like trying to drink water from a fire hose, right?
Yeah.
It's just like it's so hard.
Yeah.
And there was so much. You got to understand if you don't understand what the type of events that we have at eXp. It's probably similar to a lot of big events like a Tom Ferry event or things like that, where you have your normal session, like a 3-hour session with everyone.
Yeah.
And then you have these breakout sessions.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
very much so.
Much happened during the regular sessions that it just blew my mind. I'm almost like, I don't even need a breakout.
But you want it to keep coming.
Yeah.
Keep sending it.
So learned so much. I took... I wish I had as a visual because we're recording this for YouTube as well. I mean, obviously, most of this is just for the podcast, but I cannot believe how many notes I took. I bought a brand new binder that has, I believe it had 75 pages, something like that.
Gotcha.
I think I have 4 or 5, maybe 6 pages at the end left.
Wow. Yeah.
And now that's only one side because the way that it was, I had to flip it up. So I was concerned. I think I'm going to run out of paper here.
Oh, man.
So then I thought, it's no big deal. I'm going to flip it over and go the other side. Flip it that way.
Oh, okay.
And start over. But
Gotcha.
I swear I've never taken that many notes. I've never been this hyped up about anything because there was just so much content,
Well, I started out that way. I started out writing notes on my writing is just so lousy. So I end up during the seminar or during the day one after Kyle and Dan's thing on the first day, I downloaded an app for my tablet and it's awesome. It's called Notability, and so you don't run out of pages.
No, you don't. You're never going to run out on Note. That's a great app.
So I took. I mean, I know you took. I was sitting right next to you, and you were just going at it, and I was like, I don't ever take this many notes in anything. Yeah. And there was just so much going at you. I was going.
One thing I learned is that if you really want something to stick, you write notes, and then you write notes on your notes.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, we were in Vegas. So before we started smoking cigars or before we had a cocktail, I would take my notes for the whole day, and I was making with fresh notes. Right, I'm not talking about making notes on the same page. I took out a different binder and made notes on the notes so I could sort of clarify what I meant because there was so much. I had to write keywords that I knew would trigger me for my note-taking session.
Right.
And so I just have like a huge book of stuff. So I'm not going to be running out of content to share with the team for a long time.
Too, I mean, you mentioned the Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, whatever. Back in those days when we did all, I mean, I don't know how many of these events I've been to, but I still have my binders from those events with the notes that I took in there. And it's kind of cool sometimes just to pop one of those open and review it too.
Exactly. Because a lot of it's still really, especially the basics in our industry, those things are still very relevant.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of new things, like we talked a lot about AI and a lot of...
Oh, yeah.
So so I said all that because there's no way we can say here's what happened and here's what we learned and it would be a 3-day podcast which nobody's going to tune into. So I have a couple things I want to share that were big takeaways for me.
Okay.
And I know you have a couple
I got
things.
a couple too. Sure.
So who's starting?
Why don't you go for it?
Okay, I'll start.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Curtis Sewell.
Yeah.
He shared something that I thought was really incredible. I've always been trying to get when I'm in a sales environment, and I'm trying to really master my sales environment when I'm with a client. I'm always trying to get them to say yes, so that when I come to the end and I say, "Hey, are you ready to get started with me?" They just can naturally say yes. Mm-hmm. But Curtis's whole thing is most people want to just say no.
Right.
So why don't you play to the no instead of yes?
Brilliant.
When you walk into Nordstrom's, which clearly you don't shop there, but
I'm a Kohl's guy.
You're
Used to be Mervin's.
Gemco in the clothing section. There is something really profound that I learned from him about the whole no thing. You walk into a store and they say, "Hey, can I help you find something?" I just say no, thank you, I'm good. I want to say no. It's comfortable to say no.
It's
I
easy.
love saying no.
Way easier than yes, because if you say yes, what happens?
Oh, then you're stuck
You're
talking
on it.
about and then
They're
all of a
on
sudden
you.
and then you feel like you lose some freedom while you're shopping or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
The truth is, you really do need help, but it's just easier to say no because it's right. So this whole thing is stop trying to get a yes out of things. Embrace the no. No is your friend, and so it's sort of it sounds like this. It's like it's reversing the whole concept. I'm going to jump right to this. So imagine having a conversation with someone and knowing that they're really more comfortable saying no, and just reversing it by saying it like this. Hey, Randy, after everything I've shared with you about the market and the local housing conditions, is there anything that would keep you from working with me?
Well, no, Brian.
Oh, great. So it's a yes, but it felt better, right? 'Cause you said no. So if I could sell your home, Randy, with very little hassle, and I can get you all the equity that you deserve on your home, would you be opposed to
See, I'm nodding yes,
that? But you're going to say
but
no.
I'm going to say no.
If I could sell your home with very, very little hassle and get you all of the equity that you deserve, would you be opposed to that?
No.
Doesn't that just feel so good?
Yeah.
I love it. So
Well, it's one of those ones where you can't say you
can't say
you
yes.
can't say yes.
Right.
You won't say yes.
No.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
still think there's a lot of value in coming from mastering a sales environment with a yes is good too.
Yes.
But this is just like a different concept.
It was brilliant because he kept going.
Oh yeah,
too, and he had so
example
many different
after
examples.
example after example. And this is a gentleman that is in our direct organization who I'm going to pay more attention to because he's very good.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that he said that was kind of a cool takeaway was sell from the outside in. And I've been selling real estate for so many years and running a team for so many years, but I kind of forgot about that concept of helping your buyers see the whole process from the outside in. And what he's talking about is helping them identify the city, really going like, what do you like about the city? Talk to them about the city, then talk to them about the community, right?
Right.
And then the street, and then you narrow it down to the house, right? And in all those different things, you're asking them questions about those things, but in a reverse style to get them to say no, right?
Gotcha.
Because they love saying
Yep.
no. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's one takeaway. I have a lot, but that's
Oh
just
yeah.
one.
No, that was great for me too. I remember that, and the unfortunate thing is that I mean, that's the beauty of having this team too, is that you took notes that I didn't take,
Right.
And I probably took some notes that you didn't take.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we get a good perspective.
Well,
on
I
it.
didn't go to any of the women only breakouts like you did, so.
Yeah, I was more in the emotional side of things, and you're. What are you referring there, brother? Man. So, anyways, I shared with the team today the one thing that really, there's multiple things, but the one kind of that really, really stood out to me was how much time we waste every day, and the amount of just a lack of effort that we're putting into our day. And I think it was Brandon What's the last name? Brandon Bouchard. Yeah, he was the keynote speaker on day 2 or 3, was it? Anyways.
Brandon Bouchard.
It was Brendan. Brendan?
That was him that said that, right?
Yeah, Brendan Bouchard.
Yeah.
He put through this whole analogy about how much if you just spend 1 hour a day swiping on your phone, and which a lot of us do, even if it's late or whatever, you could be doing something more productive. And so he went through this analogy of spending 1 hour a day wasting time, and then he compounded that, because you think about 1 hour a day, okay, whatever. But you multiply that times 7 days a week, and 7 hours a week that you're wasting. And I'm going into just a normal work day for somebody's 8 hours. So you're wasting 1 day of your week doing swiping or looking at Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and you're just not really engaged in anything productive. And then, but it really went down to, you can see it here, the other side was if you multiply that times 4. So that's 28 hours per month. That just doesn't even register with most people. You could be wasting 28 hours of your month doing nothing, and then you
for a lot of us, that's an entire work week.
Exactly.
Wow.
So you're wasting a whole week per month. But then you multiply that times 2 for 2 months, 56 hours in 2 months that are wasted just by 1 hour a day that you're wasting. And then I took it to the next level, and you add another 28 hours onto that. So you have 3 28-hour months that you're wasting. It's a total of 84 hours, or equivalent to 10 and a half 8-hour days in 3 months.
Unbelievable. Imagine what you could do if you could just...
That's just 1 hour a day.
Once you know... Okay, yeah. And let's be fair. We have to be very honest here.
Yeah.
I have gone down the rabbit hole on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube Shorts way more than an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Way more.
Yeah, because once you get engaged in that and you just keep on going, an hour passes by, and you're so...
it's not good for your mind. Remember what he said about judgment?
Yeah.
He's like, you're scrolling, and all you're doing is judging.
Mm-hmm.
Judging. You're either better than this or not as good as this, or whatever. It's just you're judging. And he's like, it's not good for your mind.
Your mental health.
Mental health.
You're destroying. I got a note in here: destroying your mental health.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing. So, I came out of that with a kind of a light that clicked on and said, you know what, I do spend way too much time, whether it's just on that or just not doing anything. You could be listening to an audiobook,
right,
or something, during that time, and or even watching TV. Those sorts of things are just I don't know. Kind of interesting.
Very the traits of people that are very, very excellent in this business. We heard Bill Pipes talk about it. We've heard Chiplak talk about it. We heard Dan Beer talk about it. Different characteristics about people that are really, really, really good at this, and that is they read a tremendous amount. They're constantly, in fact, there are other places where like, hey, what book are you reading right now? And there's always an answer of something that you're reading right now. And it's because they're never not taking the time to learn. And so you have to, if this is something that I knew before, obviously, but something that I was reminded of, going to this convention, eXpCon 2023.
Yes, sir.
It was do what the best people do. Do that. Be in that room.
Yeah.
Be in that room. Because if they're reading constantly and they're constantly learning, they're just more fertile to do better business and be better at business and help others be better at business.
Well, and that was the one thing I brought up to the team this morning, in that it's this thing about making yourself better is not just to do more real estate. It's to just be a better person overall.
Exactly.
And if you become a better person, you care about people, and you're just more knowledgeable about things, it's going to just attract more business. It's just going to go hand in hand with that. So it's not necessarily, things are, these things are geared around, I think eXpCon was a little bit different than some. It was geared towards your overall mental health, I think, more than, it wasn't about, we did talk about the numbers and those sorts of things and what's going on with the economy and whatnot and what we're projecting and that sort of thing. But more than anything, I think it was more of these things were geared towards your personal.
Yep.
Just building yourself up personally.
It seemed like a lot of the breakout stuff was there was a lot of AI stuff and a lot of growth.
Yeah.
From different angles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Very, very cool. Another thing I learned is, we on our team, we talk about storytelling because that's the best way to break through with someone when you're talking to somebody. Because sales is about a lot of things, but if you're really trying to get somebody to make a move in sales, doing it through storytelling is so much more. It's powerful, right?
Yes.
Because storytelling is sense making,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so one of the speakers, Mary Davis, was talking about. I believe she's on Dan Beer's team, or she works for Dan Beer. I'm not sure, but anyway, she put a really cool framework together because it's really important to have your stories. For example, you have somebody that's kind of on the fence about buying a house. Instead of saying, "Well, you should buy a house because of this, and this," tell them a story. I know you're on the fence about buying a house right now. I hear you, but can I tell you a story that I think you'll really appreciate hearing? And you tell them a story about John and Mary, who were on the fence about buying a house last year, and you helped them through this process. And here was the roadblock, but you found a solution because you had this lender, and you had this, and you got this, and now we look back. And look where they are now.
Yeah.
You tell the story, or the rates are too high, so I don't want to buy. Can I tell you a story about something that just happened last week?
Yeah.
I had a client just do this, and they're buying a house, and the reason they did, you tell a story. And so this one really resonated with me because she gave 6 the framework for coming up with stories, because you need to have these stories ready. You can't, and they have to be real. They have to be honest.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
so,
they're going to know if you're telling, what? Yeah. Tell them a story.
Exactly. Story doesn't mean lie, okay? Story, it's got to be real.
No, yeah. And look at how many, and we've been in this business long enough. We got plenty of stories.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
But we don't always write the story. You got to write the story in your brain. That way you can call it off the shelf in the sales environment. So you can say, hey, I got a story.
Yeah.
The story has to have a character, right? So that's Mr. and Mrs. whatever. They have to have a problem, right? So character with a problem, who meets a guide, which is you. You're the one that's the guide, right? And that's part of the story. Who gives them a plan, right? So now they have a plan, and your plan calls them to action, right? And then that results in success, right? And then so that's your story, and then couple that with what would probably happen if someone didn't do that. So you gotta give them a sense of if they didn't. So those are the 6 things you must have.
Yeah.
But if you want to really add another 2 more components to the, it's really one component. Either add what it would be like if you didn't do this, or what you would feel like if you did do this.
Yeah.
Right. Something like that.
Yeah.
So,
and what your previous clients, you come up with what they feel like now after they did do it.
Yep. Can you imagine if they would have felt like? Let me tell you about a story about this person that didn't do this, and this is what they're faced with now.
They're still renting that apartment.
They were going to buy. They were waiting. They told me flat out they don't want to buy because they're waiting for. They said the market's going to crash. Well, we're up 12% now, and now rates are higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, I just think storytelling has always been my favorite thing. I'm an I personality anyway. My wife is a D, so she likes to get right to it. Piss or get off the pot, right? That's her. I would rather tell a story about a guy who refused to piss, and he did his. So you know what I mean. And so that's just my personality. Maybe this form of sales or this isn't for everybody. Maybe,
but that's the way we're wired.
Totally.
I'm that same way.
Yeah.
I'm like you in that aspect. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you have anything else?
You know what? I wanted to touch on just one more real quick thing. So I went there with the hope of learning something that I hadn't gotten from some of the other seminars or conferences that I've been to in the past, and I did get it on the last day, I think, because my mental state and a lot of times is just you got that self-talk in your head.
Debbie Downer. Debbie Downer.
I mean, I'm not a downer, but I do talk myself out of doing productive things, and I listened to Rob Rob Dial. He's not even an agent, but he's a motivational guy, you know, and he was talking about fears and whatnot. And he mentioned that fear, there's only two fears that we're born with. One fear is the fear of falling, which is interesting because they did a study back in, I think it was 1960, with some infants, 6 months to 14 months. Okay. They had them crawl across a big, thick piece of glass, but it looked like they were going to be falling. They didn't know any better. They'd hardly been, hardly been outside on their own. Anyways, they wouldn't crawl across this glass. So that was something that that determined that you're born with that fear, And the other one was the loud noises. And like a loud noise cause yourself to go into like not a panic, but a concerned. Right. Like, hey, I got to be conscious about what's going on. I just heard a loud noise. But anyways, everything else were learned. All these other fears that we have are learned. So, people
what I'm hearing you say is we have two legitimate drunk monkeys.
Exact. Oh, there you go.
One of them is falling. The other one is loud noises. All the other crap.
It's all nonsense.
It's a drunk monkey. We learned them. So you got to unlearn them, right? Identify them and
So when you go to a conference and you hear something and it clicks on you, you want to come back and be fixed.
Right.
It doesn't happen that way.
No, it doesn't.
So there's some things that, you just got to go through and just kind of unprogram yourself. But I thought that was very, very interesting how, you're afraid of calling or you're afraid of talking to somebody, engaging with somebody. You're not going to die.
Right.
If
you're making if you're afraid to prospect, afraid to make those calls, even if they're cold calls are fearful, right?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Shoot you?
Exactly.
What are they going to say a bad word to you?
Exactly.
Are they going to say the F word and hurt your feelings?
But this could relate to anything else. I mean, not even real estate prospecting, just going out and doing something, and working out again, or doing something more productive than what you're doing.
You're not afraid of working out.
I'm not afraid of working.
That
is one thing I like to do. Yeah. So, but we could go on and on and on, Brian. We could go. There's so much that came out of this, and just very, very cool for the members of the team that didn't get to go to kind of hear what we went through, and I'm looking forward to sharing more with them. There's other things in here that I'd like to share too, but
I don't know.
It's very cool.
I'm not sure how long we've been going. It's been like 20 minutes. I can share one more. Let me share the rantings. We can end with this.
Good.
But we'll talk. Okay. This is John Cheplack was there too, and he likes to he's kind of like in your face.
He's in your face.
Yeah, he's not afraid to drop the F-bombs.
Yeah,
I don't really like that part of his approach. And this is real talk. There's his approach is not my style.
Yeah.
But what he says is, he has read the book Fanatical Prospecting, and he's just really brought it to life in the way he coaches.
Which you turned that on to me this weekend. I'm reading that one now too.
Hey, let me ask you.
I appreciate that.
Let me ask you, what books are you reading right now?
Yeah, Fanatical Prospecting is one of them.
Is there anything else?
Rob Dial's got one. It's called Level Up.
Level Up.
And I've got that one.
I'm going to do that one too. Level
Up. Yeah, it's really good.
Love it. Probably another book that you probably don't want to say on the podcast.
Well, no, one we talked about today that's got an explicit in it.
Well, we'll use.
But I downloaded that one too, so we'll use start on that one.
Let's use the word frick because that's not.
Yeah.
There's a book called Unfrick Yourself, but it's really the other word.
Yeah.
And is that a good one?
I just clicked on it, so I'm halfway through maybe the first chapter or whatever.
So one of the things, these are just a bunch of bullet points that I just wrote down. So he's always monitoring his top salespeople that are coaching with him, and he's determined that 25 minimum contacts per lead now. 25 minimum. It used to be like 9, and then I remember Tom Ferry was saying it's got to be at least 12, and the national average is just 16. Now it's 25.
That's amazing.
So if you're calling people, texting people, or emailing people, and you're not getting a response, but you haven't hit them at least 25 times, then you haven't hit them enough yet. You haven't hit them enough. You got to hit them up to 20. So this is from a great coach that is saying this.
That's a hard one for a lot of us to swallow too. Definitely. On that. If you're if you're on the fence as far as even talking to people.
Well, honestly,
25 times.
I'm so full of myself sometimes that I'm just like, well, forget them. I already reached out once.
Go. I know.
I tried to call you back and you didn't answer. So
what? You never returned my call?
Don't you know who I am?
Yeah.
Really? So screw you. But really, it's not. That's not how it works. It takes 25. There's so much distractions now. You know, there's people out there that are wasting
swiping.
an hour a day. And so you got to catch them at different times. So, and then the other thing he said was 2-to-1 text to call ratio, 2-to-1 email to call ratio, and that really kind of stuck with me. So it's not just about the calling. There's other forms. I mean, people are texting, emailing. They're on social media. There's all kinds of ways to prospect.
Yes.
The other thing he said to me that kind of hit home was your value proposition, your unique selling proposition, whatever you have that you're putting out there has to be constantly out there while you're prospecting. Not just out there, but while you're prospecting and you have conversations, you have to be constantly reminding the buyer or the seller.
Constant and consistent.
Yes, exactly.
I would say too.
100%. He said, be a better person, be a better leader. Be a better person. Work on yourself. Be a better person, and you will be a better leader. Don't just work on how to be a better leader. Be a better person, and you'll be a better leader.
It goes that way.
Totally does. Always be learning. Pro athletes come back to spring training. He reminded us. I had to write that down.
Yep, I got that in mind too.
Pro athletes, they go back to spring training every year, right? So if they do it, why don't we do it?
Right.
And it goes to always be learning. I heard Brent Gove say, if you're not learning, you're dying. You're dying. You have to be learning. We're just built that way. You got to learn. You have to learn. You're nowhere near the end, right? You've got to be learning.
Right.
So one of the things I love so much about eXp is there's so much out there for you to learn. And our organization, the Fast Forward Movement, I mean, we're talking about some tremendous leaders and some of the best minds in real estate. And there's so much that they put out there constantly that there's never a day you can't learn something.
And it doesn't cost you $1,000 a month.
That's right.
Like I've been paying for so many years,
The accountability, the coaching, the training, the teaching. There's no excuse for if somebody ever asked me, "Are you learning something every day?" If I said no, that's on me, because there's so much to learn every single day here. I absolutely love that. So when following up with prospects, be real. Don't be realtor. Right.
Yeah.
He said
those are some great notes you took.
Lead
on him. All this stuff is clicking in my head now. I remember him saying that.
Well, you know what? It sounds better coming from me. because I come from a place of like huggable, lovable.
Yeah. The way John's he's pretty intense.
He probably said it more like, when you effing follow up with your GD prospects, you mother effers. Don't be a realtor, be real.
Right.
And I'm like, oh crap.
Well, I think you're right on that. Yeah. It's kind of like the switch clicked when he hit the stage, because he was just standing there and all of a sudden, boom. Yeah, I know.
Exactly. I don't know how he does it, but he has a way of sort of flexing the whole time he's talking.
I know.
And I was like, whoa, that's not easy to do that, to flare whatever you call those things are.
Get his lats going and stuff. I know. Yeah, no, he's a good dude though, man. I mean, he does it. You can definitely tell he puts it all in.
He does. He's 100% in. I really appreciate what he said.
Yeah.
When you're following up with your he said, lead off when you're following up with a past client or a prospect or a buyer or seller. Lead with the personal stuff, not just the transactional stuff. Lead with that personal stuff you left off with, or that maybe you saw on social media. Like, oh, it looks like Jimmy got an award at school today. What was that all about?
That's great.
That kind of stuff. That's being real, not a realtor.
I've tried that. I've tried that talking to clients that I'm working with and trying to get, been following up with them. I've done that, and it's really, really breaks the ice better.
It absolutely does.
Than saying, hey, how close are you to getting ready to sell or something like that? Yeah.
Lead with the personal stuff. Hey, I saw on Facebook that you lost your job. Hey, let's go shopping for a house.
Oh man, there's just I'm just scrolling through here, man. There's just so much. It's just crazy.
There's two more things I jotted down from John Cheplak. It is spend time on what you can control. Ignore the effing whatever that you can't control. Right. We get so lost in it. It's like you can't even control that. You can't control that.
Right.
So What can you control today in your business? Well, focus on that. That's what you focus on. Don't get lost in the minutia. That's just it's. Stop it.
Exactly.
Stop it.
And that's hard. That's tough. This is not easy, but I think once it clicks, it clicks.
And then the final thing that he said that hit me really hard.
Yeah. Oh boy. Here it comes.
Team leaders lack integrity when they don't hold team members accountable.
Wow.
And so
I never thought of you in that way.
But I do lack that, because sometimes I don't want to ask somebody where they're at with their prospecting, or where they're how you doing with your Zillow follow up and all this stuff, because I don't want to be that guy. Well, I need to be that guy. I need to be that guy, right? So it was a reminder that I need to, I'm in a place of leadership, and I believe I'm called to be here, and so accountability has to come along with that. So those are just a few of the 75 page.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not even kidding. I wrote so many notes, and so I'm just going to continue to just go through them. Look, this has built a fire under me. It's built a fire under you.
Yes, it has.
Very much so. If you're listening to this today and you're part of eXp, I want to encourage you to keep something in mind, and that is your biggest moments of growth in not just your eXp, but in anything that you're doing, like in real estate, no matter where you're at. It's from event to event. Go to the events.
Yes.
Because
and once a year is not going to be enough, and
it's not enough.
And you could go to the events, just be plugged in, like you shared with me today. Just be in the room.
Yep.
Be in the room.
Be in the room with the right people. So let's stop. Let's finish with this one thing I want to share.
Okay.
And I've shared it with the team a few times. I shared it with you personally. A lot of times we're not where we want to be because we lack belief. We don't believe it.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do this, and this. And then you cool off the next day. It's because you don't believe that you can actually get where you said you wanted to go. You're setting this goal, but you don't believe it. You don't believe it. And the reason you don't believe it is because there's no fire in your belly, right? There's no fire in the basement. The reason there's no fire in the basement is because you're not hanging out with people that have actually done what you're trying to achieve. So if you say, I want to sell X amount of homes per year, or I want to attract X amount of agents into eXp, or whatever your goal is, you don't believe you can get to that goal. It's because you're not hanging out with people that have even done better than that goal. Hang out in those rooms. And so what does that mean? One of my favorite eXp people is Brent Gove. I love the guy. He's incredible. I can't be in his room. There's no way.
Yeah.
He's from Northern California.
Yeah.
I can't drive up there every day and be in his room, and he wouldn't want me in his room. I mean, that would be kind of like stalking and weirdness.
But
he's got a YouTube channel.
Right.
And the people that you want to be in the room, he's got Zoom, things that he does. There's content that he's putting out there. That's being in the room.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Being in the room with some of the best authors in the world is listening to their Audible books. That's being in the room. Right?
Yeah.
So if you keep your place, your mind there, then you start to get a fire in your belly.
Absolutely.
In the basement.
It does. It penetrates you.
Yeah. And then pretty soon you start believing what you wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, you can see your results.
Yep. Exactly.
Imagine
if you set a goal of, I want to sell 10 houses the first quarter of the next year, whatever it is. And all you do is hang out with people that don't even sell real estate, and they just complain about real estate because they're just. But you get in the room with people that are selling 400 homes a year, that are doing 100 per quarter.
Yeah,
that's different.
Yeah,
all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I can easily do this, and I can. And they're saying to do this, and implementing these things, and this didn't work, so don't waste your money here. And you're just like, you get all excited. Oh my gosh, I can do this.
Well, I forget who it was too that said that. What's most important for your real estate business longevity, and it was about having systems.
Yep, exactly.
So a lot of us are just flying by the seat of our pants. I've done it my whole career.
Yeah.
I don't really have some, so I'm implementing some of those systems into it now, and so that's. I mean, these guys that do 400, they obviously have some systems.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. I mean, once you get to that level, you have systems, you're using AI, a lot of automation. But if you don't know how to do that stuff, great. Get in the room with people that do.
Right.
And at eXp, they want to share that stuff with you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. They want you to be successful. Absolutely.
Most brokerages are like, I'm not telling you how to do that.
I know.
I don't want you to compete with me.
Right.
But here it's like,
Yeah,
yes,
I know.
do this.
know.
We want to be the biggest, greatest, best. It's incredible. Well, Randy, this was not
Good time,
fun
brother.
at all.
Oh, man.
This is cool.
You know how I love doing these things.
I know.
No, it's good, though.
It's like pulling teeth to get you
I
to
know,
get
right?
out.
What's the fear? I might die.
What's your fear? Get in the room. We're in the
There's
podcast room.
I know, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Good time, Brian.
Well,
No, I appreciate it, man.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on the podcast.
You got
I
it, bro.
appreciate you sharing just a little bit about what you learned, and I just love you. brother.
Likewise.
You're a good
Love
guy.
you too, bro.
All right,
Yep.
man.
Good stuff, man.
You guys, thanks for listening.
Hey, wait,
We
before
will,
you go,
we'll
would you
continue.
do us a favor?
Right.
If you found any value in this content, would you please like and subscribe to it? Maybe even leave a comment. It really helps us out.